Good evening, everybody. Please confirm whether the audio and video is clear. There was a technical error. My sincere apologies for the delay. So without any further wastage of time, let us move into the very basics now. So first of all, let us try to understand here the basics. Like for example, to log into Exam Prep IAS, you need to go to this link here, type in your mobile number, and then you can go continue with Google, or you can even enter your email manually, following which you need to click on the IAS link here and then click IAS there, and you will be able to access your portal from where you can get your study materials, your unit tests, webinars, the tablet videos, everything. All right. So we are still in the process of introducing you to this new platform. So there will be slight starting troubles, but then we assure you that everything will be sorted out in the coming days. So without any further delay, these are the following topics that we are going to be handling today. Technology is no panacea for custodial death. Government eased norms for Indians to receive more money from relatives abroad. India-Australia Critical Minerals Investment Partnership. Derecho, a storm that turned the sky green in the US. The 3 new exotic subatomic particles discovered at CERN. As you can clearly see, we are having a very multi-dimensional topics today. So we will be seeing each and every topic in detail. We'll be also seeing its relevance from both prelims and a mains perspective. So the very first topic, technology is no panacea for custodial death. So what do we mean when we say that technology is no panacea for custodial death? Basically, what are we highlighting there? So custodial death simply means what? Mentally and physically, you're torturing a person to get a confession, or you're asking that person to admit to a crime that he or she has not committed, or you threaten them, you coerce them, you force them to give a confession. One of this. Were finally, because out of the fear of the mental torture or of the physical torture or of a excuse me, or of a future pain, the person will end up admitting to what? To things even that they have not committed. Scientifically, sociologically, psychologically, many studies have been conducted which has proven beyond doubt that physical torture or mental torture is not actually a strategy to get a confession from a victim. Now, putting a person under mental pressure, whereby which you make them, break them down so that their defenses are down, that is different. Strategically, you use only the techniques of interrogation where physical violence is not involved, that is different. But here, mental torture, when I say, the thing is the very fear that maybe your family or your loved ones may be hurt, because of which you are getting agitated, and finally you end up admitting to everything and anything. Clear? So it's a clear violation of what? Human rights and Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Very clear? Now, let us look into the data here. The NCRB data says around 1,888 custodial deaths has been recorded in the last few years, out of which only 893 cases have been registered, in which 358 only have been charge sheeted. And look at this number here. Only 26 were convicted. That is, out of 1,888 custodial deaths, look at the number of people who received punishment, which means what? The punishment is not severe enough. As a result of which, what happens is blatantly violence after violence keeps getting reported from the side of the cops. The Satankulam murder, which took place, murder of father-son duo at the hands of the police at the Satankulam police station, is a clear blotch on the police force of the country. Clear? Moving further, let us see. No policemen were convicted in any other part of the country except for these 4 states: Madhya Pradesh, UP, Chhattisgarh, and Odisha. That is, except for these 4 states, in none of the other states, a police officer has been convicted for what? Custodial death. Clear? Now, what technological solutions are there? Now, we saw the data there, that custodial death is a reality. The performance of the states, barring a few states, barring 4 states, the performance of other states are very abysmal. Now, let us see what are the technological solutions that are being advocated to reduce this. Number one here would be body cameras. So, body cameras can actually help in what? Reducing custodial death, because body camera, it is an audio visual camera. It will constantly record every proceeding. So, yes, there is always room that you can switch off the camera and you can do whatever you want. But then you will have to explain it in a court of law why it was switched off. You will have to explain it to your superior why it was switched off. You can always say technical glitch, but it will still hold that officer accountable. Clear? The next one is deception detection test. Deception. What do you mean by deception? Deception means you are deceiving somebody, cheating somebody. So deception detection test simply means you are trying to find out whether the person has lied or not. Now, the interesting thing is there are 3 ways to do this: polygraph, narco analysis, and brain mapping. Polygraph simply means, like for example, in this diagram, as you can clearly see, a person is sitting there, and over here, another person, another individual is viewing something on the screen. What is he viewing? He's basically viewing the blood circulation, the heart rate, as well as the breathing rate. Now, accordingly, if at all, for the questions that are being asked, how are you responding? And is there any variation in your heart rate and in your breathing rate? Then easily, what is it? You can be considered guilty. But there is a problem here. The problem here is that if somebody is, it's somebody who comes and sits there, that person is very nervous, then what happens is the heart rate can show erratic. And the other problem with polygraph test is that there is no standard procedure here. There is no standard procedure whereby which you can actually say where anybody can interpret the data. That is, if I bring that data of the heart rate to you, you will interpret it in one form. You will say that this is normal heart rate. I may interpret it as this is abnormal heart rate. And as a result of which, with my verdict, the person can be considered guilty. With your verdict, the person can become innocent. And there have been international cases as old as 1979, where it has been proved beyond reasonable doubt that polygraph test cannot be trusted at all. Coming to narco analysis. Coming to narco analysis, it is again simple. That is basically a drug is administered where you go into a semi-conscious state and questions are asked and things from your memory are recollected. Sounds good on the surface, but what is the problem here? Where exactly you draw the line? Because sometimes what happens is the person goes into a subconscious and whatever dreams and aspirations or worst fears that person has, that will come out. You would have questioned, you will be questioning, trying to know whether how the crime was committed. But the person may start uttering things which he or she has it in their subconscious level, which is part of your dream, your fears, etc. So you cannot trust that. Brain mapping, we'll see it in a while. Brain fingerprint system or brain mapping. Again, as you can clearly see from the diagram here, it clearly means on your brain, they keep what? Various nodes, which are basically what? Sensors. And as per the questions that are asked, what happens is different part of your brain's neurons are functioning. Case in point being, now generally it is being said, then a question is asked and if the person's eyes goes towards the right, then they are using their creative part of the brain. That means they are trying to tell a lie. And if a same question is asked and if the person's eyes moves towards the left, then it is being said that the person is using their logical part of the brain, which means they are recollecting facts, which means it is truth. These are simple tricks and techniques that people use at interrogation as well as even in the interview board. That is why some of our students also, when they go to the interview board, they will say, I answered everything correctly, but I don't know why I got such less marks, because it comes in these details. In your interview board also, you're supposed to sit very straight, lock them into their eye, look at them into their eyes while you're speaking throughout. That way, you are showing your confidence and that way you're telling that you are telling the truth. Clear, people? Moving on. In Selvi versus the state of Karnataka, Honorable Supreme Court observed that state could not perform narco analysis, polygraph and brain mapping test on any individual without their consent. Means what? If the individual gives consent, then you can do it up. But very recently, in December 2021, the Kerala High Court ruled that even if the person gives consent and you do a polygraph test or a brain mapping test or a narco analysis test, it cannot be admissible as evidence. Getting the idea? Because this process is not foolproof. Internationally, plenty of examples are there where people got convicted wrongly. Wrongful convictions have happened, and the margin of error is too high in the case of these tricks and techniques. However, with informed consent, any information or material discovered during the BFS test can be part of the evidence. This is what Supreme Court ruled. But High Court of Kerala basically said it cannot be considered as evidence because there are too many errors there. Roberts are being so this much we saw. This is like what we can say the traditional part. Till now, what were the major technologies that were being used for what? Crime fighting or improving conviction. Apart from this, what other technological innovations are there? Roberts are used by the police departments for the purpose of surveillance, bomb detection, and interrogation. Use of artificial intelligence and machine learning, especially for what? Especially for interrogation techniques and tricks, you can use it. Clear? So basically, it will save on a lot of time, and it will avoid what? It will avoid the conflict. Clear? So that is the idea here. Now, moving on. Avatar, automated virtual agent for truth assessment in real time. As you can clearly see, there is a camera here. There is a camera here through which the entire face scan is done. The red carpet here on which the person is standing can detect even when you curl your toe. So generally people curl their toe, clench their fist, etc. when they are stressed. And all these bodily movements, body changes, external changes, all these are detected by different sensors placed there. And they will actually tell whether or not like visual, auditory, near infrared and other sensors which will scrutinize eye movement, voice and other qualities throughout the interaction. So basically what happens there is the human element is need not be placed there. That is what the idea is. Now, the irony is that the human element is also important because humans have what is known as gut feeling. A machine will rely only on facts, but there are some things where gut feeling will guide an officer. And gut feeling of an officer, or the that cold feeling that you get when something is not right, that is always guided police officers in solving crime, and that is where machines will fail. Getting the picture? Now, moving on. Most of the custodial deaths were attributed to reasons other than custodial torture, which included suicide and death in hospital during treatment. Use of third-degree methods, including torture to secure evidence or confessions, have also been a cause of what? Death. As of now, any case of custodial violence must be reported to the National Human Rights Commission of India. So once again, what are the other factors that are responsible for death while a person is held in custody? Other than torture, overcrowding, malnutrition, unhygienic conditions, lack of medical care. That is basically when you look into the, if you have watched the movie Sanju, or if you have even read the, jail experiences of Mr. Salman Khan, they all would have told one thing, that the drainage, apparently, that the drainage, sometimes it gets overfilled. And the end result is that the entire cell where they are staying, that gets filled with fecal matter, fecal sludge. So sometimes they have to stand on it. Sometimes they have to, even crouch themselves into a corner. So all this will actually lead to what? Mental torture. Clear? Types of custodial violence. Physiological violence, which is done by what? Depriving them of basic needs. That is food, proper sleep, toilet facilities, water. All of this you deprive. Automatically a person will feel mentally down. Physically, because physically you'll start becoming weak, and mentally it will lead to further torture. Then obviously the third degree physical violence, hanging them upside down, thrashing them, beating them, using lathi, sticks, other things, etc. Sexual violence, which is meted out mostly against women, or at least threat of sexual violence. That is enough to break down anybody. Clear? As per the National Human Rights Commission, 151 people died in police custody in 2021. Maharashtra reported the maximum deaths, 26, followed by Gujarat 21 and Bihar 18. In 2020, 1,569 deaths in judicial custody were reported across the country. So, according to the National Campaign Against Torture, their data, 55 deaths were by suicide, 18 deaths were because of torture, 51 deaths were due to ill-timed medical treatment, according to their data when they actually monitored the data for a particular year. And in that again, a good number of them were Dalit, tribal people and women. That clearly shows what the law is again unforgiving to all those people who are from a lesser advantageous background. So if you know the what is it, rightful people, if you know the rightful what is it, people in the higher echelons of power, then your treatment is different. But if you don't know anybody, you are somebody from the marginalized section, the chances that you may be dealt out severely with torture is on the higher side. Clear? So what is the reason that people, that is the cops, basically resort to this? Obviously, it's the absence of strict laws. Because unfortunately, let me be very frank here. That is, even in the event of custodial death, somebody dies, you can still join back the service. There are officers who have joined back in the service even after, who have been notorious for custodial death or torture. All right. Very rarely only a punishment like complete dismissal from service with no pension is met out. Otherwise, no. So as long as the punishment is not strict or severe, these things will continue. No solid prison reforms, that is in terms of manpower, in terms of size, etc. All this has to be changed. Like for example, the prison condition has to be changed. So here, interestingly, let me narrate you one incident of Kiran Bedi's from Kiran Bedi's book. That is basically when she was in charge of Tihar jail. And when she was doing the rounds, what she found out was that some of these women inmates, they were allowed to be molested for 10 rupees, 5 rupees, etc. She discovered that because some of the, and especially those women inmates who were actually not mentally stable. So this was allowed there. And she put a iron clad decision there, stopping the whole barbaric practice then and there. So many such things keeps happening inside prison, where actually what is the purpose of a prison? To reform an individual and bring that individual back into the society and make a contributor to the society. But that doesn't happen. In fact, unfortunately, because of the pathetic conditions inside prison, the person ends up becoming a bigger criminal. Work pressure. As we clearly know, the police force of our country are one of the most understaffed police force in the world. And they have to, if you actually see, they have to go for passport verification, they have to look into traffic violations, then they have to look into the petty crimes, stealing, robbing, pickpocketing. Then they have to deal with major crimes, murder, rape, armed syndicate robberies, syndicate or, gang fights, etc. So totally, if you see, they are not having sufficient rest. So you need to have a great amount of patience while dealing with crime or while dealing with interrogation. So when you don't have that patience, you go for the easy way, which is what? Torture. Considering the approach, an eye for an eye, the people in power choose to use violence to get out information from the ones accused of a crime. So this eye for an eye thing. Now, very recently, we know the Hyderabad, there was this whole encounter action conducted by the Hyderabad police against the rapists of a particular crime. The perpetrators of the crime, they killed them. Or encountered them telling that it happened because they were trying to escape while they took them for collection of evidence. But then a panel has ruled it very clearly that it is nothing but cold-blooded murder. Why? So what happened? What has happened there is the police tried to play it to the gallery. Played it to the gallery to satisfy the demand of the public. Because public was baying for blood, because the victim apparently was raped brutally, even her dead body was not spared, and afterwards they burned the body to destroy evidence completely. So because of that, the public was baying for blood and the police literally played it to the gallery. So that cannot be allowed, because executive cannot actually go into that direction without following proper due process of law. And encounter as a word has been what? Negated by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has made it very clear that there is nothing called as encounter killing. What it basically means is self-defense. The same right what you and I have. Even I have the right to defend myself when somebody comes to attack me. That same right only even a cop has. The only difference that in the case of a cop can use firearms in the event their subordinate is also what? Subordinate's life is under threat. Other than that, they are not supposed to use it freely. Clear? And obviously not following international standards. So India has signed the United Nations Convention Against Torture in 97, but its implications are yet to be mandatorily followed in the country. Clear, people? So that is the idea here. Constitutional remedies are there. What are the constitutional remedies? Under Article 21 and Article 22, we have two remedies there, which are protection from torture and the right to a counsel. Clear? So protection from torture, it is enshrined in Article 21, and the right to counsel is enshrined in what? Article 22. National Human Rights Commission's guidelines are there. The Code of Criminal Procedure, which is Section 41 of the Code, CRPC, which was amended to include safeguards such as subsection 41A, 41B, 41C, and 41D. Whether you have to remember the CRPC also, not to that level, but at least you should be knowing, say for example, what is custodial torture, what are the different technological interventions that we can use there, why is it that custodial torture is happening time and again, a few facts and data with regard to custodial torture and the convictions that have happened, and finally, what are the remedies? Arrests and detentions for interrogation have reasonable grounds and documented procedures. Arrests should be made transparent to family, friends, and the public. Protection should be granted through legal representation. Indian Evidence Act 1872. Section 25 and 26 of the Indian Evidence Act provides that a confession made by an accused to a police officer or in police custody shall not be considered evidence. It has to be made in the presence of a magistrate. That is the other interesting thing. That is, say for example, even worst case scenario, if your somebody you know is actually caught, let us say some X is caught by the police. X is only a suspect. X has not committed the crime. But the police is thinking that circumstantial evidence is there. Now we will force the confession out of X. What is the best strategy X can do? X can basically say, yeah, I did the crime. He can tell it to the police. But once X is produced in front of the magistrate, he can easily tell, I did not do it. These people forced me. I was in so and so place when this crime took place. He can directly tell it in front of the magistrate. What you tell it to the cops is never of any value. Getting the idea? So that is the point here. The Indian Police Act, Section 7 and 29 of this act provides that a police officer violating constitutional and statutory provisions shall be liable to dismissal, penalty, and suspension. Obviously, this is very rarely used. Then, informed consent. Why you are being arrested, for what reason you are being arrested, etc. should be informed to you very clearly. When you get your arrest warrant also, you can easily ask for where is the warrant? For what purpose are you arresting me? You can actually ask that. Right to privacy. The Supreme Court in K.S. Puttaswamy declared a fundamental right to informational privacy as paramount and noted that any measure that sought to collect information or surveillance must be legal, necessary, and proportionate. So anything that you do should be what? Basically legal. That is, there should be a clear process to it. Who gave you the authority? What actions have you done? Is those actions sanctified under the law? Every step of it should be what? Lawful and legal. Risk of bias. That is the biggest problem with technology. Case in point being, even in USA, they use this facial recognition software. So the facial recognition software, what they interestingly found out was that it was very biased towards the black people. And even the computer was not able to actually make a differentiation between the faces of different black people. So two totally different faces where a human being will be able to say, these are two different people. The computer was making a mistake and telling that there is a 97% match in the case of black people. Clearly telling it to the world that FR as a technology, facial recognition as a software, cannot be trusted upon. And the same thing applies for other technological solutions that are being held up as a panacea for what? For better policing. High cost of technology. As it is, we are struggling here for money. The fiscal deficit of our country is at an all-time high. So again, investing on such high-end technologies where we are not even sure about their efficacy or their efficiency, it doesn't make sense. Surveillance state. Now, surveillance state, as per the article, integrating fingerprint-based criminal record data. That is, the fingerprints and all will be saved into one single system. Along with this, DNA also can be saved. It's a very good move. Why? Crime solving will become easy, especially when a person has committed a crime in, let us say, the state of Kerala and has ran away to state of Maharashtra, or let us say state of UP. There is no way of finding that criminal other than the fact if fingerprint data and DNA data is interlinked. Getting the picture? But then they are saying that it will become a surveillance state. The state will become a surveillance state. That is okay, because in India, fundamental right of the individual is not absolute. National security is always at the upper hand over individual freedom right. In Europe, it is the other way around. Europe, individual freedom right is what? More important than what? More important than national security. Clear? So there is a difference there. So in India, especially, we have it very clearly in our constitution also. When it comes to public order, public morality, public health, fundamental rights will take a backseat. So you cannot actually claim fundamental right that my right to privacy is being hampered. Clear? Formulation of a multi-pronged strategy. It is like basically what you need 50-50. That is, technology is also needed as well as human beings are also needed. It should be a combination of both the things. Legislation against custodial torture has to be passed, especially we have to ratify UN Convention Against Torture. We should ratify it. Then the Prevention of Torture 2017 bill, which is since 2017, it is still in a state of limbo. So that needs to be revived and presented and should be passed in the parliament. The Law Commission of India's proposition in 2003 to change the Evidence Act to place the onus of proof on the police for not having tortured the suspect. That is, if a crime has been charged against me, that I tortured somebody, I should prove that I didn't do it. Honorable Supreme Court in DK Basu versus State of West Bengal case issued guidelines to be followed by the police and other agencies in case of arrest, detention, and interrogation of any person. Clear? So this is the idea now. All right, people, on your screens now. On your screens. Last 30 seconds. Five more seconds. And a whopping 68% have answered it as A, which is the correct answer. So congratulations. I think I'll read out the first few names here. Rohan, Anwar, Abhijit, Anurag, Pitnu, Surendra Mukherjee, Ushri, Shivam, Kiran, Saurav, Krishna, Shrestapal, Ujishri, Shalu, Shraddha, Anshika, Shivangi. So congratulations to all those people who have answered it correctly. Very good. Good job. Moving to the mains question. Compassionate policing is the need of the hour in the wake of... Okay, just a minute. Before going ahead with it, just to very quickly discuss the answer here. Protection from torture is a fundamental right enshrined under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, that statement is correct because it's a direct thing. We know it. Article 21 is talking about torture. Article 22 is talking about right to counsel. We saw that. In Selvi versus State of Karnataka, the Supreme Court observed that the state could perform narco analysis on any individual without their consent. That is wrong. Only with their consent you can do it. That was a Supreme Court ruling. So statement number 2 is wrong. Your correct answer is option A. Coming to compassionate policing is the need of the hour in the wake of rising incidences of custodial violence. So basically, what do you do here? So basically, you should define what do you mean by custodial violence. You can define what is compassionate policing. That will become part of your introduction. Your intro will comprise of defining what is compassionate policing and what is custodial violence. Then you will make small flow charts where you'll talk about 1888 and 26 people only were convicted. You will mark something like this, a flow chart or to bubble diagram. Then how to ensure compassionate policing? For that, you will give steps, international treaty, how to ratify it, then how the prevention of torture bill 2017, how that needs to be changed, then stricter laws are needed. Number 4, sensitization is needed. Number 5, law commission suggestion you will give, all that you will give there. Then you will give a conclusion. Clear? This much is enough because it's only 10 marks. It's only a 10-mark question. 150 words means easily what? Easily 1.5 page. More than that, it is not required. Clear? So now let us move to the next topic. Before that, did you know Knightscope K5? What is Knightscope K5? Let us see. It's a roaming robot that weighs 300 pounds, resembles R2-D2, which was a fictional character from Star Wars. For those of you who are Star Wars fans, you should be knowing it better. It's one of the surveillance robots that people in Silicon Valley use. According to Knightscope company, the K5 ASR is a completely autonomous crime-fighting robot with duties that include patrolling, preventing, and protecting. Clear? So it's basically usage of robots have already started in what? In the police force. All right, people. So first topic is over. So first topic last day was about custodial torture. Can technology be used to stop it? Only to a limited extent. Need of the hour, a couple of judicial ruling, a couple of suggestions by law commission, and your answer is complete. Clear? And again, this particular topic, what we saw, police reforms as a topic is a important topic as it has appeared in the previous year question papers. So note this topic down. Very, very important. Coming to government eased norms for Indians to receive money from relatives abroad. How important is this topic? This topic is very important from GS3 perspective. All right, GS3 perspective, it is very important. Directly as well as indirectly, this has appeared in the previous year questions. So let us see that now. What has happened? So Ministry of Home Affairs recently amended certain provisions of Foreign Contribution Regulation Act and its rules. They amended it. What did they amend? What did they change? So basically what they changed was that the amount of money that you can receive from your relatives who are staying abroad, that quantum of money has been increased. All right. So foreign money that you can receive from your relatives abroad, where you need not actually intimate to the government, that quantum of money has been increased. Number 1. Number 2, simultaneously what they did was that simultaneously they actually increased the import duty of gold. 2 things they did. Increase the import duty of gold, allowed more money to come in, where you need not intimate the government that you received so much money from your relative who is staying abroad. What is the impact here? Now see, when more money can come in now, all right, more and more money is coming from abroad. More and more money is coming from abroad means what will happen to the remittance basically? Remittances will increase. What is remittances? Remittances is just nothing but the money that is sent by Indians who are staying outside the country to their relatives in India. So more money when it comes into India, what is happening? The foreign currency, whichever foreign currency it is, that has to be exchanged for rupee. Foreign currency has to be sold and rupee needs to be bought. That is what it means. Foreign you sell, rupee you buy. So what ends up happening? Rupee value increases, which is good news. Rupee value is increasing with respect to dollar, which is actually good, great. More money comes in, good for India. It's the same thing that happens. If FII comes into the country, rupee value goes up. If FDI comes into the country, rupee value goes up. If remittances comes into the country, rupee value goes up. Exports are more. Once again, exports are more. What is the same thing? Foreign currency is coming into the country to buy Indian goods and services. So again, rupee value will appreciate. All these are great. But then when it comes to gold import duty, why the gold import duty has been increased? The reason is, do we have sufficient quantities of gold? No. So we have to import it. More when we import, more we will have to pay. In what? We cannot pay in rupees because foreign people don't want Indian rupee. We will have to pay in foreign currency. So when we end up paying more and more in foreign currency, rupee value will dip, which is very, very bad news. Because as rupee value depreciates, the problem is that the import bill ends up becoming costlier and costlier. Because as far as the Indian scenario is concerned, gold, crude oil, coal. These three items alone are enough for a high import bill. Crude oil around 85% we are importing. Coal also we import a good amount. And thanks to the current Ukraine-Russia war, both the prices of these two have increased drastically. And gold, no Indian wedding can go without buying gold. So all of this will lead to what? Puts tremendous pressure on us as a country because we have to pay more in foreign currency then. And when you don't have enough foreign currency, then what happens? You won't have money to buy for fuel. You won't have money to pay for your coal, nothing, which is exactly what happened in Sri Lanka. So that is the reason. On one side, we are trying to restrict the purchase of gold so that we don't end up paying foreign currency. On another side, we have increased the quantum of contribution whereby which more foreign currency will come into the country, get converted to rupee, which will actually lead to what? Rupee appreciation. Clear, people? Let us see. Amendments allowed Indians to receive up to rupees 10 lakh annually from the relatives abroad. That figure you noted down, rupees 10 lakh. Earlier, it was what? They could receive up to 1 lakh without notifying the competent authorities. Now, from 1, it has been straight away increased to 10. Decision comes after government enhanced the import duty on coal from 7.5% to 12.5%. So on one side, limit has been increased from 1 lakh to 10 lakh. It has been increased. On another side, from 7.5 to 12.5, import duty has been increased. The import duty has been increased to what? Discourage the import of gold. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, enacted in 1976, is a law of Government of India which regulates the receipt of foreign contributions or aid from outside India to Indian territories. What was the need for FCRA amendment now? Why? Why are they amending it? Why this sudden change? Why from suddenly 1 lakh we have increased it to 10 lakh? Why is it that we are trying to discourage import of gold? Widening trade deficit. What do you mean by widening trade deficit? Export is much, much lesser than import, or whatever we earn through exports is not sufficient for the high level of import payments what we are making. Trade deficit in the month of April and May 2022 stood at a high of US dollar $20.1 billion and US dollar 24.6 billion respectively, making an aggregate of US dollar 44.7 billion in 2 months. That is a level of trade deficit, not a small amount. That means what? You know what that means? 22 billion worth goods or and services included. We are purchasing from outside. We are not sourcing it from our country. We are purchasing it from outside. And in that, again, the major villains are gold, crude oil, and coal. Keep that in mind. By comparison, the trade deficit in April and May 2021 stood at US dollar 21.8 billion. While petroleum import is leading to a rise in trade deficit, gold too contributed significantly to it. In May, gold imports stood at US dollar 6 billion as against 670 million in the same month last year. Look at that irony there. That simply means what? Year on year, the demand for gold in our country is just going up and up and up. There has been a decline of almost $50 billion in Forex reserves over the last 8 months. So what do you mean by Forex reserve? Forex reserve is nothing but imagine it to be like a one big box where you have all the foreign currency: dollar, euro, pound, yen, Saudi riyal, Kuwaiti dinar, UAE dirham, all that you have there. All foreign currencies are there. So what happens is each and every time when you have to make a payment, to somebody in any other country for something that you bought from there, it is from this that you make the payments. Either you make it in pound or you make it in dollar or you make it in yen, so on and so forth. But as you do that, what happens? This starts decreasing, which is not a good sign. Then government needs to arrest the outflow of funds and increase the inflow of funds. Increasing inflow of funds means what? One is to improve the exports. Other one, what you can do is reduce the outflow, reduce the import. So reducing the import is how? By raising the taxes, which is what they did with gold. Clear, people? As per the government's new norms, political parties, legislature members, election candidates, judges, government servants, journalists, and media houses, among others, will no longer be prosecuted if they receive foreign contributions from relatives abroad and fail to intimate the government within 90 days. That was earlier 30 days. So, if you can receive contributions, and within 90 days, what is it? You need to intimate the government. Earlier, it was how many days? 30 days. From 30 days, it has been done what? It has been increased. So what is the idea here? The idea is pretty simple. Now, the rules are relaxed a little more so that contributions can come in easily. You will have sufficient time to file all the necessary documents and procedures. As per the amended rules, if a recipient fails to intimate the government within 90 days, so what if they fail? After 90 days also, they don't intimate. It is made a compoundable offense, and the recipient will be required to pay 5% of the foreign contribution received in a financial year as penalty. Financial penalty, that is, let us say you received $100. $100 means that is close to 8,000 rupees. 5% of 8,000 rupees is what? Okay, 10% is 800, 5% is 400 rupees. Okay. Then, earlier, such an offense would entail prosecution in a court of law. That means earlier, what was the punishment? Within 30 days, if I had not intimated, means then I can get arrested. But now arrest is not there. Pay a fine. Enough. The new notifications have increased the number of compoundable offenses under FCRA from 7 to 12. Among the offenses made compoundable by the government are also those falling under Section 11 and Section 35 of the Act. This level intricate details you need not know, but again, salient features only you need to know. What is it basically? The salient feature, number one, the amount of contribution that you can receive. Who all can receive, and within 90 days, you are supposed to file. If you don't file within 90 days, you are supposed to do what? You are supposed to pay a fine. Clear? These are the things there. Apart from this, Section 11 bars individuals from having definite cultural, economic, educational, religious, and social programs from accepting contributions without registration. That is, this is the older section before the amendment. Section 35 used to stipulate a punishment of 5 years for, what is it? Violating the provisions of the Act when it comes to getting contributions, and if you don't tell about it within 30 days. Both have been made now compoundable with a fine of 5%. That is the latest change. This is the latest change. And his punishment is no more now arrest and all, nothing. You will go to jail, nothing like that. You just pay a fine and you can go. That is the idea. Under the new norms, exemption from intimation to the government is provided for contributions of less than 10 lakh. So any contribution that you receive, if it is less than 10 lakh, you need not intimate to the government. More than 10 lakh, you should intimate. That is the idea here. And there has also been a time limit for intimation of opening of bank accounts, especially when it comes from abroad. And if you open a bank account for receiving it, again, you have to intimate them, through which bank account are you receiving it, etc. In Rule 9 of the FCRA, which deals with application for obtaining registration or prior permission to receive foreign contribution, the government amended the rules to give NGOs 45 days instead of 15 days under the earlier rule to intimate the Union Home Secretary about one or more bank accounts opened for utilization of foreign funds received. Very recently, there was a Supreme Court ruling where they made it very clear that through only one bank in India, in Delhi, through SBI Bank in Delhi only, you are supposed to receive any contributions. Now, a slight change is being brought to it. That is, in case you are, receiving money, instead of 15 days, now you have 45 days to intimate the Home Secretary if you have more than one account through which you are receiving the foreign contributions. Now, why we are making such strong rules for the NGO? It is very simple. In 2014, when the current government came to power, there were around 98% of NGOs in our country were not registered with the Home Ministry, nor were they even filing any IT returns. Nothing. In fact, it was very easy. It was very easy for anybody to go and start a to go and start anything that they wanted. Anybody could start an NGO. It was that easy. Clear, people? So this was the deal there. So in Rule 17A, which requires NGOs to intimate the ministry within 15 days whenever there is a change in an NGO's bank account, name, address, objectives, or key members, deadline has now been increased to 45. Again, it's a repeat point just to make it clear to you. Offense of failure to intimate the government about change in an NGO's bank account, name, address, aims, objectives, or key members within 45 days has been made compoundable with a fine of rupees 10,000. So as you can clearly see, compoundable here simply means what? Just pay the fine. Just pay the fine. So what happens here is the rules are being made a little more relaxing. So there could be two effects to this. Number one, when it is a fine, people will easily comply with it. They'll just pay the fine and they'll move off. Another thing is, when you don't have the fear of punishment, when you're not worried that you will go to jail, what will happen? People will actually commit more crime. Getting the picture here, people? So that is what the idea is. Moving on. The government has deleted clause B under Rule 13. Now, the clause basically talks about, what does the clause talk about? It is there. Why did I put it up here? Just to tell you, see, the article may contain detailed provisions, but you need not actually study each and everything. This detailed clause you need not learn. That has been deleted now. So you need to know what to avoid while you study. It is very important in UPSC. That is the only reason I added it up there. Clear? Offenses under Section 17, Section 19, Section 37 has again been made compoundable with a fine of rupees 10,000 per bank account. Section 17 asks NGOs to open only one bank account. 19 asks to maintain an account of foreign funds received and utilized. 37 basically talks about punishment for FCRA violations. Specific detail, in-depth detail of any particular rule or act is not actually needed. It is not actually needed. The main provisions, if you remember, that is enough. Section 15, Section 37, subsection 2, clause 8, para 3, not needed. That level intricate detailing is not at all needed. You need to understand what is its holistic impact of these provisions. So bottom line is what? Compoundable offense. Up to 10 lakh, you need not intimate. 90 days time period is there to intimate. Doesn't intimate, you pay a fine. More than one bank account, or you fail to comply with any of the regulations, it's again a fine. This is all that you need to know. Getting the idea, people? Other than that, don't try to by heart all these things, because it is just a waste, because you have so many such acts. Clear, people? Experts say that an increase in the limit of remittances by relatives from rupees 1 to 10 lakh will lead to increase in inflow of funds into India. Similarly, an increase in import duty on gold from 7.5% to 12.5% will discourage gold import and will result in an increase in the price of gold in India. The step will provide an ease of compliance burden on NGOs. It will give them more time for compliance and even compound certain offenses that were punishable earlier. So NGOs, for NGOs, this is actually a little good news, not a very big great news. It's like a breather. They have time to get their act straight or correct. That is the whole idea. Clear? Changes also gives organizations more time to inform the government about opening bank accounts to utilize funds received. The new FCRA rules will relieve those barred under Section 3 of the Act from receiving foreign contributions. All right, so that was what it was in a nutshell. Like I told you, some things are meant to be skipped. That is the reason why I didn't even read them, because if that level of intricate detailing is not required even for UPSC mains answer or even for your interview. And these provisions, again, when UPSC asks a question from here, UPSC is not going to ask you section 37 clause 15. No, UPSC will play only with the values there. 30 days, 90 days, 1 lakh, 10 lakh. With these values only, it will play. So now, question on your screen. Last 5 seconds, people. 48% have answered it correctly. So let us see let us look at the people who have got it correct. Anwar Basha, Abhijit, Anurag, Shivam, Kiran, Saurav, Krishna, Chandan, Akshara, Michael, Mudrika, Pankaj, Shweta Tripathi, Suresh, Swati Pandey, Balachandran, Jyoti, Falguni, Rashmi, Nila Shiva, Arya Shivadasan. Congratulations to all those people who have got it correct. So very quickly, let us see. New FCRA rules allows political parties to receive foreign contributions who were earlier barred under Section 3 of the Act. Yes, it allows. Under the new rule, the recipient who comes under Section 3 of the Act has to intimate the government within 30 days of receiving the foreign contribution. It is not 30, it is 90 now. So what is it? The second statement is wrong. Under the new norms, exemption from intimation to the government is provided for the contributions of less than rupees 10 lakh. This is correct. Between 1 to 10 lakh, if your contribution is, you need not intimate the government. So those 2 points are correct. Which of the statements given above is or are incorrect? Incorrect is the word. So incorrect means here only one statement is what we know. 1 and 3 is correct. So option A is wrong, B is wrong, D is wrong. Correct answer is option C. Clear, people? Moving on to the mains question. Analyze the significance of the recent amendments made in certain provisions of the FCRA and its rules by the Government of India. So the significance of recent amendments. What is the significance? It will improve the remittance. It will improve the remittance flow into India. So basically you can start off, obviously, starting off with what? Definition about FCRA. What is its purpose? You have to at least 2-3 lines you have to mention here. Why? 15 marks. Always look at the marks before deciding how much amount of data you're going to put. Once you talk about the purpose, the next thing is what the significance of the amendments. So you must write what are the major amendments made. Then the significance. Then obviously the conclusion. Clear, people? That is the idea here. All right. So I hope you understood. This is the pattern that you go about. Definition you give. You give what is the purpose of the act. This is not the procedure for every question, mind you. For every question, there is a different demand. According to the demand of the question, you will frame your answer. How to know what framework you should give? You have to keep writing answers for that. Clear? Hawala is an age-old idea that originated in South Asia around the 8th century. So Hawala system simply means money is transferred through hands. It just keeps getting transferred. It is not done through any formal banking network. With the aid of the Hawala system, money can be sent overseas without actually being moved. Actually being moved in the sense what? I receive the money, I take a few share, I send another part of the money in a different currency to somebody else. That way I can send it off. It is an informal method of sending money or goods. All right. It is there. Hawala transactions are actually illegal in our country. King Alietus of Lydia invented the first coin money in 600 BC. Chinese Tang dynasty produced the first paper money back in 618 to 907 AD. Clear, people? India-Australia Critical Mineral Investment Partnership. So FCRI we saw from 1 lakh to 10 lakh it has been increased. Import duty of gold has been increased. Import duty of gold, by the way, let me tell you, does not come under FCRI regulations. That is, duty has been increased. Then we saw most of the offenses have been made what? Compoundable. 12 offenses are there that has been made compoundable. You pay the fine, that is more than enough. 90 days time is there to intimate the government with regard to any funding received in the event you're a political party or a religious party, you're an NGO, etc. In the event you're having more than one bank account and you're not intimated, then a fine will be placed 10,000 rupees per bank account that you have in the country. These are some of the major changes. Clear, people? So India-Australia Mineral Investment Partnership. When it comes to mains, this topic here again, you can put it under GS2. All right. So India, Japan, India, China, India, Russia, many such questions keep coming. And these questions, whether they come or not, is highly contingent on that year's current affair. So India, Australia, directly a question has not come so far. But indirectly through groupings, like bilateral groupings, say for example, Quad or AUKUS, etc. Like that questions can come. Where you talk about Australia's significance, where you talk about a collaboration with Australia, how it will help India. Like that it has helped. Questions have come. Clear? So direct question has not come, but it is a potential area. Now, what is this whole idea about what? Critical Mineral Investment Partnership. Let us see that. Australia committed Australian dollars 5.8 million to the India-Australia Critical Mineral Investment Partnership. A huge amount, not a small amount. India and Australia decided to strengthen cooperation in joint projects involving critical minerals like lithium and cobalt. So lithium and cobalt, when you hear itself, what should be coming into your mind? Batteries. Electric vehicles. Clear? Australia is a trusted supplier of resources and energy to India, and it has enough resources to help India fulfill its ambitions to lower the emission. That is true. India's space and defense industry, manufacture of solar panels, batteries and electric vehicles, etc. In all these areas, it requires what? Critical minerals. And most of these critical minerals are actually there with what? Australia. So Australia, when they supply it to India, it will actually help India what? To achieve all those Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is to be self-sufficient in most of these things. Production of, what is it? Space and defense, hardware, manufacture of solar panels, batteries and electric vehicles. Clear? An agreement between Khanij Bidesh India Limited, which is basically a mining company, public sector and unit, and the Critical Minerals Facilitation Office in Australia had been signed to ensure reliable supplies of critical and strategic minerals in India. A critical mineral is a metallic or non-metallic element which is essential for functioning of our modern technologies, economies, or national security and has a supply chain at risk of disruption. What does that mean? See, the minerals are not something which is available freely and everywhere. It is like very delicate. Either it is available in deep sea beds, or it has to be mined from very environmentally sensitive region. If both this case is not there also, let us take lithium itself. Lithium mining is an environmentally highly degrading process. So it is not so easy. So it is always better to get it from some other country. So here we are doing exactly that. Why? Because for our batteries or for our hardware, etc., we need them. We need them because they're the core element to manufacture advanced technologies like mobile phones, computers, fiber optic cables, semiconductors. They are also used in low emission technologies such as electric vehicles, wind turbines, solar panels, and rechargeable batteries. Clear? Now we understood what is critical mineral, why it is used where, and India wants to become a Detroit of what? Electric vehicle. That means what? To become a hub. So when India wants to become a hub for the manufacture of electric vehicle, it is necessary that India has enough of what? Batteries, quality batteries. And for lithium ion batteries, what you need actually, you need lithium. And who is ready now to supply this lithium? Australia is ready. Got the picture here? Big picture. Risks to critical mineral supply chains can come about when mineral production or processing is dominated by individual countries or companies. Now, we read in the earlier slide that there are supply side disruptions to this. What do you mean by that? Supply side disruption. Basically, it means that you cannot trust anybody there. If only one country or one company is providing these minerals, means at any point of time they can control the supply. Just like what Saudi oil cartel is doing today. Any point of time they feel the prices of crude oil is less, what they have to do? Reduce the production. The moment they reduce the production, the oil prices goes up. Same thing can happen here. So it is important that we don't, wait for any one country to provide everything. Case in point again, very recently there was what? Semiconductor chip shortage, correct? Why? Because most of the semiconductor chips were coming basically from two countries, Japan, Korea, South Korea. And because of the lockdowns as well as the layoffs, people who lost their jobs, lesser high amount of unemployment, etc., it was very difficult to actually what? Produce these chips. As a result of which, Indian automobile industry got affected, where waiting period for any car was between 6 months to 1.5, even 2 years. So this is the problem here. So you need to ensure what? An assured supply chain you should have, an undisrupted supply chain you should have. That is the idea. Clear? The list mostly includes graphite, lithium, and cobalt, which are used for making EV batteries, and silicon, which is a key mineral for making computer chips and solar panels. For example, the Australian government considers 26 resource commodities to be critical minerals. What does it mean? There is no clear idea what comes under critical minerals. For some countries, it is lithium and cobalt. For other countries, it is something else. Because for each country, what will be available, what will be in excess, what will be in this thing, nobody knows. Clear? Similarly, India's Department of Science and Technology drafted the Critical Mineral Strategy for India in 2016, which has identified 49 minerals that will be vital for India's future growth. So for Australia, the number is what? Australia, the number is different. For India, it is 49. That means critical minerals will vary in definition and in terms of the number of minerals also from country to country, region to region. There is no blanket definition for this. But one thing it is known, it is very essential for certain strategic sectors. Clear, people? What are the issues involved here? Obviously, limited availability. Number two, supply side risk because hostile regimes or politically unstable regions. Clear? All this will lead to what? All this can actually cause trouble, big time trouble. Why? Because any country, if they suddenly feel they are not happy with India, they can suddenly cut off the supply. Case in point being during Corona time period, China decided to what? To stop exporting active pharmaceutical ingredients to India. API is essential for what? India's pharmaceutical industry. So automatically what happened? India's pharmaceutical sector got affected. So that is the trouble there. When you excessively depend on what is it? One single player or one single country. Increased dependency. According to the United States government, global demand for these critical minerals is set to rapidly increase by 400 to 600 percentage over the next several decades. 400 to 600 percentage. It is bound to increase. For minerals such as lithium and graphite, which are used in EV batteries, demand will increase by even more, as much as 4,000 percentage. Clear? Understood what is the issue here? The future, what we talk about, see, we are already in the cusp of Industrial Revolution 4.0, which is what? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, Internet of Things, etc. So for all this, you need ultimately what? Semiconductor chips of a very high grade, high quality, high amount of production. And needless to say, you need batteries also, because these things requires very good amount of what? Stable electrical source or electrical energy. And because of all that, you need ultimately what? You need critical minerals is the at the heart of all of this. So whoever holds it becomes a leader, global leader in the future. Because the days of crude oil and coal is like numbered. By 2035, 2040, I assure you, by the time our children and all will grow up, they will not be even able to understand what is what is a typical petrol engine car or a diesel engine car. Getting the idea? They'll be so used with what? So used to an electric vehicle. China plays a dominating role in the production and supply of critical minerals. Why? China is the world's largest producer of 16 critical minerals. It is responsible for 70% and 60% of cobalt and rare earth elements. China's share of refining is around 35% for nickel, 50 to 70% for lithium and cobalt, and nearly 90% for rare earth elements. Refining it, as well as when it comes to processing it, that is convert it into usable form. In all these areas, who is dominating? China is dominating. So India cannot actually fall behind, because all said and done, no matter how much ever you say, Chinese dragon may not attack India, but at the same time, we cannot actually take the Chinese dragon for granted. So it is obviously it is important that the Royal Bengal tiger decides to venture out into new territories, make new relationship and new bonding. Now, coming to the next MCQ here. With reference to critical minerals recently in the news, consider the following statements. Critical minerals are used to manufacture advanced technologies, including mobile phones, computers, fiber optic cables, and semiconductors. Critical mineral strategy for India by the Department of Science and Technology has identified 49 minerals which will be vital for India's future economic growth. 1 minute's time, people, on your screens. Last 10 seconds. Very good. 71% of you have answered it correctly. Congratulations to all those people. But then let us see. Anwar Basha, Abhijit S, Anurag Das, Shivam Upadhyay, Kiran R, Saurav, B. Krishna, Chanda Jha, Mudrika Chaudhary, Shweta Tripathi, Swati Pandey, Balachandran, Falguni Dulgaj, Rashmi Pandey, Nila Shiva Srinivas, Arya Shivadasan, Jagadishwaran, Harshad G, Diksha Pandey, Guru Prasanna, Amanullah Ansari. So these are the people who have answered it. What is it? Correctly. And so far, from all the three, they have answered all the three exams, all the three questions very correctly. They have scored 30 on 30 so far. Congratulations. So, very good. Keep up the good work. So, basically, it is a direct question. There is not much to apply your logic or analytical thinking. If you actually see critical minerals, they are used to manufacture electronics, hardware, etc. And yes, the critical mineral strategy identified by the Department of Science and Technology, 49 minerals has been identified. That fact is also correct. So it's a straight away option C, both 1 and 2. Coming to the mains question, critical minerals are of paramount importance to achieving SDG. In the light of the statement, discuss the prospect and challenges associated with critical minerals. So how should your answer be? So first of all, see, always like what I am doing here, you can see I'm underlining the keywords. So critical minerals. So definition will comprise of what first? What do you mean by critical minerals? What do you mean by SDG? Correct? Then how it will help in achieving SDG, sustainable developmental goals. What SDGs it will help in achieving? Clean air, water, environment, all that, clean energy. Correct? How it can be achieved? What are the prospects? Like I told you, defense, what is it? Space, vehicles, mobiles, laptops, agriculture sector, sensors, everywhere you can use it. Even in MSME, clean energy, everywhere you can use it. So that much you will write. But what are the challenges? Supply side disruption, it is not available. Mining can be environmentally destructive, a very costly affair. And obviously, Chinese monopoly. Now, if you observe, here in this question, they have nowhere asked what solution you will give. They asked what are the prospects and the challenges. Many people will write the prospect, they'll write the challenge, and they'll stop right there. You're an IAS officer. You will give a solution. And the solution is what? The India-Australia deal with regard to critical minerals. That is what you will give there. Getting the idea? So that is where your answer becomes unique. Everybody will be knowing this data. Everybody will be knowing this data. But the only difference is that you wrote it. Others knew it. They were like, no, it is not asked in the question. Why should I give a solution? Way forward will be a part of your answer. Getting the picture? Way forward. If it is asked specifically, you will write it in detail. If it is not asked, you will mention 2 or 3 lines. This is what India should be doing. Conclude. Job is done. Clear, people? The global chip shortage, often known as the semiconductor crisis, appears to have shocked everyone in the world. Chip shortage was sparked by the COVID-19 pandemic. The entire global supply chain is still incredibly disturbed at every link, which is true. That is the reason why even now we are facing chip shortages there. Unfortunately, there are currently no indications of a recovery because you are depending upon only 2 players here, largely I'm saying. So you need to diversify. India should actually focus or encourage their MSMEs to what? For manufacture of chips, high quality chips, so that whatever chips we need, we can get it done from here itself. Because what we have in plenty is what? We have a lot of MSMEs, we have a lot of labor supply chains, etc. Clear? So we need to use it in that way. Got the picture, people? Coming to derecho. Derecho. It's a storm that turned the sky green in the US. Clear? So now let us see what this is. Now, what type of questions can you expect from here? Direct question. Direct question you can expect. Clear? So at least you should know a little bit fundamental. That is little bit of fundamental in the sense what? See, ultimately all the major wind movements, whatever, jet winds are moving, high pressure to low pressure, all that when we talk about bottom, at the heart of it, what it is, air always flows from region of high pressure to region of low pressure. This much basic data you should know. This level of basic data, that's enough. Clear? So this data, once you know, from that we can build on anything and everything. So let us see. A storm system known as a derecho slammed the states of Nebraska, Minnesota, and Illinois of the United States recently. Winds blowing at about 140 km per hour caused damage. According to the Washington Post, when the storm approached, it turned the skies green. States of Nebraska, Minnesota, Illinois. 3 states got affected. Okay. Winds were moving at 140 km per hour. Number 3, it turned the sky green. 3 features. So 3 states it covered means that is almost like telling it covered Rajasthan, MP, and went all the way to West Bengal. Clear? It covered that huge a distance. That means what? It is a very strong weather event. Number 2, traveling at 140 km per hour, which means what? It can cause tremendous amount of damage. Number 3, all those areas through which it went, it turned the sky green. Now let us try to understand what is happening here. What is the basics of it? Let us try to understand. Derecho is a widespread, long-lived windstorm. Widespread, long-lived windstorm associated with a band of rapidly moving showers or thunderstorms. Rapidly moving it is. Moves very fast. By definition, if the wind damage swath means area. If the wind damage swath extends more than 240 miles, that is about 400 kilometers, and includes wind gusts at least 58 miles per hour or 93 kilometers per hour or greater along most of its length, then the event may be classified as a derecho. Although derechos can cause damage with tornado-like intensity. So derecho, tornado, both will cause damage. Both has the same effects more or less, but with a difference. Damage is often confined in one direction. That is, derecho, when it moves in a straight line, your tornado will do what? It will circle, 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 and it will keep moving. Curvature. Curve around. So that is why you need satellites to see now which direction it is going to turn into, because you can never predict it. But derecho, once it starts, which direction it is bound to go. Why? It will move in a straight line. What is the reason for it to move in a straight line? Why the sky is turning green? And what is the reason why it has such amount of wind force? Let us see now. Observe this diagram. So this is like a cloud formation has happened. Okay, let me tell you the initial story here now. So initial story is what we know. Just give me a minute here. Yeah. So warm air will rise up. That much we know. As it rises up, what happens? It becomes a little cool, and then clouds are formed. Correct? And as the temperature changes starts happening, when temperature becomes a little more cooler, what happens? Rain falls down. But at the same time, the warm air that is there, that gets still rises up. So as it keeps on rising up, more and more clouds is formed. The end result is the diagram what you see here. A huge cloud. Got it? Now observe. So what happens here is the warm air is now going up. As bigger and bigger clouds form, what happens is air will, when rain falls, along with the rain, cold wind also comes down with great amount of pressure. And this wind will come out and spread laterally. horizontally. In which direction? Horizontally, it will tend to go in a direction where low pressure is there. So this wind will come. So as the cold wind comes down, the warm air is pushed upwards. Okay, because this is coming down with that force, it pushes the wind upwards. As you can clearly see, this is the diagram, how it happens. It pushes the wind to rise up again, the warm air to rise up again. Warm air goes up, goes into this mix there, goes and becomes cloud, temperature is less, comes down as rain. And that wind that comes down keeps moving in the direction where low pressure is there. And as it forms, what happens? You can see the air over here. Now, moving to the next diagram, you see the hot air is getting pushed up. And as it keeps moving, what happens? Initially, as it keeps on getting new and new hot air, it keeps pushes it up. More cold air comes down. And eventually, once it doesn't have that level of hot air anymore, it dies out. That means it starts from low pressure. And as the pressure reduces, the whole weather event also stops. This is the idea. But during this period, it will move in a straight line. It will move in what format? Like an echo. As it goes further and further and further, the distraction will be lesser and lesser. But this is how it will go. Getting the picture? This is why it is moving in a straight line, because it is moving towards the area where pressure is less. And as it keeps moving, it forces the hot air to rise above it and go up, get cooled and come down. So it is almost like a self-sustaining system. That is almost like you have a car with you. Let us say you have Ferrari with you. Okay? And it has what? Fuel. Full tank fuel, which will never get over. Which means what? You can step on the pedal and keep going as long as you want, however you want. And Ferraris are best to drive where? In absolute straight roads. That is where you can feel the power of the machine. Same thing. Here also the same thing it is. Hot air getting pushed up, coming down as cold wind, keep moving in the direction where low pressure is there. This keeps on going till the point where the low pressure dies out completely. There is no more hot air to send it up. The event stops. Clear? Now let us see this in detail now. Derecho development is necessarily tied to the development of bow echoes. That is what I told you. Bow echoes are formed. When the rain-cooled downdraft of a thunderstorm reaches the Earth's surface, it spreads horizontally in the direction of the mean atmospheric flow, which is basically means where the low pressure is less. Because we know one thing, cold air will not again move into an area where cold air is there. Getting the idea? Cold area to move into an area of cold air, that is a rarity, rare event it is. But otherwise, always cold air will move in which direction? Where the pressure is low. As the cool and dense air spreads outwards, it forces the lighter, warm air, moist air surrounding the storm up along the leading edge of the outflow or gust front, which basically means it just pushes the air upwards. That is what it is. Pure scientific jargon that is written there, but basically it is what? It just pushes it up. So if you see the 4 stages here very clearly once again. Strong migrating low pressure system, first condition. Okay. Chilled air is denser than surrounding and therefore it accelerates down towards the ground. Number 3, bands of thunderstorm called bow echoes will form and they will move in one direction. Which direction? In region of low pressure. And as you can clearly see the bows here, these are the bows. Damaging straight line surface winds are formed as a result of this. Straight line. Surface winds. On the surface itself, you will have it. Destroying cables, trees, houses, whatever comes in its way, it will destroy it. Depending upon the speed of the wind again. The rain that is produced by the more recent storms strengthens the cold pool, obviously, because the more recent ones means it has just formed. So the warm air is going up, cold air is coming down, and this keeps moving. This rain keeps moving with heavy wind flow in one single direction. Strengthening of the cold pool enhances inflow of air because as the cold air comes, hot air is pushed up from the developing storm complex's rear side. This promotes downward transport of wind with higher velocity. So as more and more hot air goes in and it's getting cold, with tremendous force, this cold air is coming down. These processes can enable the system to attain a nearly steady state condition, making the entire system more lasting and strong. That is what I told you. As long as you're having the hot air going up, you will have cold air coming down with tremendous amount of force. It also enables the storm to cover such a huge area in such a short period of time. Got the picture here? Why it is able to cover? Because continuously it is almost like fire is there and you're going on pouring petrol into it. It will keep burning till you stop giving petrol. Similarly, as long as you're having hot air rising upwards, you will have that heavy downdraft. As the thunderstorms continue to increase in coverage, the cold pool is reinforced by even more rain-cooled air. During this stage, the storm system's onward movement continues to accelerate either as a single huge bow or several smaller bow echoes within a line. So you can have single bow moving in or moving in a straight line. But either of it is what? Destructive. Significant and persistent wind damage has been happening for a considerable amount of time. So wind related damage, that is a guarantee when it comes to derecho. Clear? So this is the other viewpoint. Hot air rising up, spreading, and the cloud is forming. And as the cloud forms, we know downpour will be there. And once downpour happens, this is the way how the wind will move. So hot air coming from this direction, that means what? This is a region of low pressure. So once this cold draft forms, look at the bow. Look at the way it has been formed. And what is the direction given? This direction. Why? That is where the low pressure is. Clear? This much you will be able to draw in the exam, right? Mind you, wherever you can draw a diagram, draw it off. Wherever you can draw a map, draw it off, including Indian as well as world map. If you want to clear in your first attempt, if you want to clear in the get the service of your choice, the cadre of your choice, if that is your aim, then you want to be in the top 10 or 20 ranks, follow this strategy what I told you. Flow charts, already I mentioned. Second thing, diagrams like this. Simple diagrams, enough. When somebody sees it, they should understand. Indian map, world map. Indian map, world map again, don't get tensed for it. This much anybody can draw, right? Hardly what? Not even a minute I took. So constantly if you practice like this will come. Africa is ready. Getting the picture, people? So this way you can do it off. It is only a matter of practice. 2 days you sit with it, you can get it done. Clear? There are different types of derechos. Progressive derecho, which is associated with a short line of thunderstorm traveling for hundreds of miles in a narrow path, which is a summer phenomenon. So summer season, derechos can form. Serial derecho, extensive squall line, wide and long. Progressive means what? Slowly the momentum builds up and goes through a narrow line. Summer season. Serial means what? Wide, long. Sweeping, obviously a large area, occurs during the spring season or the fall season. Hybrid derecho, progressive and serial derecho characteristics are both present in hybrid ones. Both the features, that is, narrow is also there, broadening out in some places. Got it? Because of the interaction between light and the enormous amount of water that severe thunderstorms contain, the sky appears green. Why? VIBGYOR. Correct. This is what visible light contains. But because of the large raindrops and the hail, what is there? What happens is most of these colors get scattered. Except what? Blue color. So basically blue color will be there. But then the sky is green when derecho comes. Why? The yellow light of the sun interacts with this blue color to produce green. We would have done this in our art class back in the school days, mixing colors and finding out combinations. Yellow and blue you mix together, you are going to get green. So the red yellow of the afternoon or evening sun interacts with this blue to create green. That is considered to be the reason for this. Getting the idea? This is no graphics or anything. As you can clearly see, this is the roadway. That is the sky. And you can clearly see it is not entirely green. You can see here, obviously, blue, the bluish tinge there. Getting the idea? So blue or even close to what you can even say somewhere close to indigo, green. Violet, not exactly we are able to see it. But blue, indigoish, green, those three colors we are able to see in the diagram. Clear, people? A derecho is a long-lived, fast-moving thunderstorm produces significant wind damage. Its forecasting and predictions are very important. Climate change will increase events of derechos. A derecho happens when there is lot of heat and moisture available. Again, we are going back to what I told you initially. The very basic and foundation is what? The very basic and foundation is you need a region of low pressure. And then you need cloud formation, rain falling down, moving into the direction of the low pressure, pushing the wind to go up. Then what will happen? It will keep traveling. In what format? In the format of either a single bow or many consecutive bow or a combination of both. Either way. Clear, people? They mostly occur in the eastern and central areas of United States. The country of Russia had its first documented derecho in 2010. They recently stormed through Bulgaria and Poland. They also swept through Germany and Finland. So Europe, USA, Asia. In all these places, it has been registered, which basically tells us what? Climate change has increased the frequency of derecho-like events. Got it? Coming to the next poll. Your time starts now, people. Thirty seconds more. Five more seconds. %69 of you have answered it correctly. Congratulations to all of them. Let us see who are all there in the leaderboard now. Anwar Basha, Abhijit S, Anurag Das, Kiran R, Saurav, Chandan Jha, Mudrika Chaudhary, Shweta Tripathi, Swati Pandey, Balachandran, Rashmi Pandey, Nilla Shiva Srinivas, Arya Shivadasan, Jagadishwaran, Diksha Pandey, Guru Prasanna, Amanullah Ansari, Sabiha, Fatima, Aditya Agarwal, Sheikh Shaheen, Aditya. So all of you have answered all the 4 MCQs on spot. All 4 MCQs, you have been getting it consecutively correctly. That is why your names are consecutively coming in the list again and again. Congratulations to all of you. So let us look into the question now. With reference to the phenomenon of derecho, which was recently in the news, consider the following statements. It's a widespread, long-lived windstorm that is associated with a band of rapidly moving showers or thunderstorms. That is correct. It's a definition of derecho. Sometimes the interaction between light and the enormous amount of water makes the sky appear green during a derecho event. Obviously, we saw that 1 and 2 both are correct. It occurs only during the spring season. That is wrong. We know it can occur during the summer season also. Correct? So that is wrong. So the statement is wrong. That means option B is the correct answer. Clear, people? What do you understand about derecho? Explain the important stages in the formation of derecho event. Now, obviously, you can write essay after essay. But what will be a beauty here? The beauty will be to show. Okay. First of all, when you are drawing maps also, this is the other thing that I want to tell you. See, people, use the very same pen that you're using to write. Use that same pen. So if I am going to write this answer, what I will do? Warm air. Downdraft. Bow echo. Done. 240 miles in distance. Maybe more than 100 kilometer per hour. This will be my opening diagram. So this, all I need to do is now what? Just explain the process here. This is a much better answer than simply writing full paragraph wise or point wise, because this, first of all, when you draw and keep, what is a very big advantage for you yourself? It is a reference now. Now I know 240 miles it will be able to cover. It will give 100 kilometer per hour speed. The warm air will rise up, then it will get condensed and it will come down. It will become a self-sustaining system. It will move, what is it, a very large distance. And you know, it will what is it, bow echo waves are formed, which will cover a wider distance, wider area, will lead to a lot of damage. That much I wrote. Formation of derecho event. Climate change is actually leading to more and more derecho events. So we need to basically what? Arrest climate change. We need to follow the Paris principles. We need to follow more environmentally sustainable principles, which will not lead to what? Temperature rise. That will be my conclusion. Answer is over. This much if I draw and keep itself means, first of all, I'll get more than 50% of the marks. Getting the idea? That is where I'm telling you again and again. It is not about how much knowledge you know. It is about how you are putting it down. You will be the most knowledgeable person on planet Earth. But if you don't know how to write your UPSC mains answer, gone. Getting the idea? So make it a habit right now. Whenever you're having a mains test series, whenever you're writing and sending any answer, that is the GS3 paper, 3 GS papers I'm basically talking about, not ethics paper. The 3 GS papers when you're writing and sending, always when you take a question, see, is there a scope for a map? Is there a scope for a diagram? Both scopes are not there. Then what will you do? Low pressure, downdraft, velocity, distance, damage. Flowchart. Flowchart, diagram, map. Either of this should figure in your diagram, in your answers always. That way, you know what to write. You will stick to the question. You will not write, okay, I know this also, let me write that also. No. What is the demand of the question? You only stick to that. UPSC doesn't want what is your knowledge level. They only want to know whether what has been asked, whether you will be able to write something which whoever reads it will be able to understand. Because ultimately, once you become chief secretary, etc., you will be writing report after report only from the data given to you by collectors, which is basically what you will do. Writing reports will be a part of your life. So how good you are at writing reports, that is what they are checking in this mains exam. Whether you are able to articulate your thoughts down and whether people will be able to understand it. Clear? The last topic of the day, 3 new exotic subatomic particles discovered at CERN. Now let me tell you this one warning here. This is actually part of what is called quantum physics. Clear? So any topic of science and technology when you take, and if you write quantum physics explained, or say for example condensation explained, or biotechnology, direct also let us take any topic. When you take like that, you will get a simplistic version of explanation which will help you understand it. But quantum physics is one such thing. No matter how much ever research you do, how much ever you try to study, it is very difficult to understand. Why? It is still a very, as a subject or a theory, it is there since ages. I agree. But exactly what it is, how it is functioning, the way it is functioning, nobody has a clue. Even physicists and astrophysicists will find it very difficult to explain it. Clear? So what I'm trying to tell you here is surface level information is enough. Don't go deep. Deep or in-depth preparation you do based on what? Based on how many times it has come as a question. Quantum physics itself, if you see, once or twice it has appeared as a question, and that too very basic questions were asked, nothing complex. So you should keep that in mind when you do any preparation. You're going to take a topic from your optional also. You should see how many times that question came. If it has come only once, then do only preparation that much. If it has come like in the last 9 years, it has come like 10, 20 times, 10, 15 times it has been asked. That means what? The topic is very important. Do research on it. So based on the frequency only, you need to assign its importance or utility. Here also, the utility is less. That is why the topic has been kept towards the last. Just what it is, we'll understand. That is enough. We will leave it at that. Clear? We will see now. Quarks. They are elementary particles and fundamental constituents of matter. That is, we basically thought atom is the fundamental constituent. Later, that was cut down, and they understood that it consists of electrons, protons, and neutrons. Correct? But this again, you can further divide quarks. Proton and neutron can be subdivided into further below as quarks. They come in 6 varieties or flavors. What are they? Up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom. These are the 6 types. Up and down, charm, strange, top and bottom. Clear? Why these names, sir? Why they gave that name? Why didn't they give beautiful and ugly? Nobody has any idea. That is the names that they have given. This is what it is. It is the subunit of matter. Clear? They typically combine together in groups of 2s and 3s to form hadrons, such as protons and neutrons that make up the atomic nuclei. I told you, protons and neutrons are further subdivided into what? Quarks. How quarks will combine, that will decide the outcome. Like for example, when they combine in groups of 2s and 3s, you get what? Proton and neutron. So, quarks combining to form protons plus neutrons, and that leading to the formation of atom. This is the diagram for it. Clear? Moving on. What is anti-quark? So quark means sub-element. Anti-quark is also an elementary or fundamental particle that makes up most of the mass in the antimatter. What is antimatter? Dan Brown fans will be understanding this. Dan Brown. Those of you who have not read Dan Brown series will find it a little difficult. So basically in universe, everything has an opposite. For life, there is death. For man, there is a woman. So for everything, there is a counter. So just like that, for matter, there is antimatter. So basically what it is said is the world's most powerful bomb itself, if you see, antimatter, all you have to do is release antimatter into the atmosphere, free atmosphere. And what happens, what end result you will have is matter and antimatter will come to combine together, just like how man and woman will come to combine together, or what is it, yin and yang elements will come to combine together, and the result will be catastrophic explosion, tremendous amount of energy release. That is what basically the whole thing is. So quark, when we say, is the fundamental unit of matter, anti-quark is the fundamental unit of antimatter, matter's opposite. Anti-quark will have the same mass, same mean lifetime, same spin corresponding to quark, but other properties like electric charge and charges will be in opposite signs. That is the only thing. The international, now this is the basics. Now why we are discussing, what is the main news item here that we are seeing now? International Large Hadron Collider BEAUTY collaboration at the Large Hadron Collider has observed 3 never before seen particles, which is a pentaquark, a tetraquark. Till now, what have been seen? In groups of 2s, groups of 3s, quark will combine to form protons and neutrons. This was understood. But for the first time, tetraquark, pentaquark is there. Tetra 4, penta 5. The research adds 3 more unusual members to the growing family of new hadrons detected at LHC and was presented at a CERN conference. Tetraquarks and pentaquarks are also known as 4 and 5 quark particles. Around 6 decades ago, physicists predicted these exotic hadrons. 60 years ago, they had predicted that these things exist. But it is only now that they have been discovered. Tetraquarks or pentaquarks consist of a charm quark and a charm antiquark. Charm, that is up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom. These are the 6 type of quarks. In that, charm quark and charm antiquark is present in what? Tetraquark or pentaquark. These tetraquarks or pentaquarks make up the majority of unusual hadrons identified in the last 2 decades. Clear? So where groups of 2s and 3s form proton and neutron, groups of 4 and groups of 5 end up forming hadrons, which are unusual, and its properties are still being studied, and its impact is also still being studied. The 2 new tetraquarks are shown here as single units of tightly bonded quarks. One of the particles is composed of charm quark, strange antiquark, up quark, down antiquark. Other one, charm quark, strange antiquark, up antiquark, down quark. What does it mean? Should I be worried about these up quark, down quark? How are they combining? Quark is there, right? And quark's opposite is what? Antiquark. So for all this, you have up, down, top, bottom, then charm, strange. Correct? Groups of 2 or groups of 3 means you will get what? Proton and neutron. Groups of 4 and groups of 5 means you will get hadron. This much we are very clear. This much at least. Now the 6 different types are there. The combinations that are possible with the 6 different types, the like how many number of up quark, how many number of down quark, how many charm quark, etc. will keep combining, will lead to the formation of what? Different types of hadrons. That is the idea here. So they have discovered it. So 6 decades ago, scientists predicted that this is possible. That even I can say today, because these are 6 types. If 2 types in this combined, or 2 or 3 types combined and produced proton and neutron, means there are 6. Even if all the 6 combines, it will give me something else. When 5 combines and 4 combines, it is giving me hadron. So like that, different combinations are possible. So imagine this is almost like a veg thali. Different combinations are possible. You can eat rice with dal and ghee. You can have khichdi. You can have it with aloo parota. You can have it with sabzi, etc. So different combinations are possible there in that veg thali. Same thing here. The different combinations will lead to the creation of new things. So I can predict and say, so in the future, maybe 6 quarks will combine and it will produce something new. That will be the most brilliant thing in the world. I can say that even now itself. It is possible because all the 6 can combine. I can say that. And maybe 60 years or 50 years down the line, they will discover it also. Clear, people? What are flavors? Different versions of the same type of particle are referred to as flavors by scientists. Building blocks of matter or fundamental particles come in flavors. Quarks come in 6 flavors, of which can have 3 distinct colors. What are hadrons? Are a broad term for particles involved in strong interaction. Protons and neutrons are also hadrons. Based on how many quarks they contain, hadrons are further classified into baryons and mesons. Just information I'm telling you, just for your knowledge level, you keep it in mind. Open charm means particle contains a charm quark without an equivalent antiquark. Just for information again. This level basic details they won't ask. They won't ask. Keep it in mind. Total number of quarks known to exist as of this point has increased to 21 with the addition of the additional pentaquark and 2 tetraquark. That is total number of quarks that I know that exists. These numbers are sufficient to allow scientists to group them in a periodic table-like arrangement. That is the beauty. Now, when I arrange it in a periodic table, I will get to know what are each and every one of its functions. I will get to know how it is actually influencing the matter, the atom's behavior. Got it? This way, experts can study the interrelation between the quark and unique properties of each, and it will allow them to try to set a rule that governs exotic masses. What is exotic? Rare. Because these are subatomic masses. Subelectronic, subprotonic, subneutronic masses these are. Very, very, very less. But then they have a say in what the way the whole atom behaves, the way the whole material, element or metal or non-metal will behave. Clear? It will also make conventional hadrons easier to comprehend. Why? Because now we know how many quarks are involved there. 2 to 3 means then we know, okay, then the hadron is a proton or a neutron. More than that means then we know it is something else there. Clear? The 2012 findings of the Higgs boson at LHC at CERN was one of the most significant achievements. Even while the most recent discovery is not on that level, it nonetheless advances scientific research by adding to the wealth of data that is now being gathered. What is CERN? CERN is the original name of European Organization for Nuclear Research, which runs the particular accelerator complex that houses the Large Hadron Collider, world's largest and most complex collider, which is located near Geneva in Switzerland. This is how it looks. All right. It is basically a 27-kilometer, tunnel or tube into which you will accelerate the particles at very high speed. And when you keep accelerating the particles, so when you basically accelerate anything for 2, what happens? It will break down into smaller and smaller elements. Correct? You move, it get destroyed. It'll shatter down. Same thing. You throw washing machine in. Throw wet cloth inside a washing machine. As the container keeps turning, what happens? The water just keeps coming out of it. Water gets thrown out. Heavier cloth remains there. Water gets thrown out. Just like that, it will become thinner and thinner and it will go down to that subatomic level. According to CERN, LHC is a particle accelerator, boosts subatomic particles' energy to extremely high levels in controlled manner so that researchers may examine the ensuing interactions. It became operational in September 2008 and continues to be the newest component of the CERN accelerator complex. LHC is made up of a 27-kilometer ring of superconducting magnets and other accelerating elements that serve to increase the energy of the particles that travel through the system. Increase the energy means what? They will accelerate in that 27-kilometer tube at a higher and higher rate, thereby allowing us to break down the atom below its atomic and subatomic levels. Clear? As you can clearly see, this is how it looks. This is an aerial view. And that is your Hadron Collider, 27-kilometer. You can see it is. Where is it placed? Not on the surface, deep underground. That is where it is placed. Needless to say, it actually runs through 3 to 4 countries. Underground it runs. Clear? Okay. This entire thing. Again, I have kept it here for the purpose that, see, some things like I told you meant only for what? Understanding purpose. You take an article, you need to pick out only those things which you really need. Once you get that, the rest you have to chuck it out. So here basically, basic laws governing the interactions and forces among the elementary objects can be answered. So what is the understanding here? See, basically I can tell you, in my case, in your case, or in any case, say for example, take this remote or take this mobile phone, anything you take, the idea here is the Newton's laws applies to it. The Newton's three laws. Got it? But that is not the case for subatomic particles. They behave in a totally different way. Newton's laws don't apply to them because they're very, very, very small. So that is where quantum physics comes into picture. And that is why you have to learn it. The deep structure of space and time can also be answered here. Like space and time, defining it, the connection between it, all of that. We are basically talking about the theory of relativity, and obviously E is equal to mc square. Getting the idea? That is, it is actually possible to reverse time, control time. That is the whole concept behind it. If you are really traveling at a speed greater than the speed of light, you will be able to pull back time. That is the idea. So data is also needed from high energy particle experiments to suggest which version of current scientific models are more likely to be correct, particularly to choose between standard model and the Higgs-less model, and to validate the predictions and allow further theoretical development. Basically, to conduct more research. That is what it means. Clear? That is why the sentence has been put like that, because don't get confused. Always, as an IAS officer, also your job will be what? You will get plenty of reports from the Tahsildar, Talukdar, from everywhere you will get. Quickly go through it, pull out only what is needed, write a one-page report, send it off to your superiors. Getting the picture? This is exactly what is demanded of you. What is needed, you will pick up and then you will move forward. Clear? Investment on a particular topic is directly proportional to the frequency with regard to how many times it appeared in the past year question papers. Ultimate aim of LHC's detectors is to allow physicists to test the predictions of different theories of particle physics, like measuring the properties of Higgs boson, searching for large family of new particles, other unsolved questions of physics. Large Hadron Collider, LHCb BEAUTY. The BEAUTY quark, also known as the B quark, is a type of particle that the Large Hadron Collider BEAUTY experiment focuses on examining. So B quark or BEAUTY quark, that we have not seen so far. Let us see. It is examined in order to better understand the minute variations between matter and antimatter. LHC produces a wide variety of distinct quark types, which then rapidly decay into other types. That's it. Question now? On your screens, people. Last 30 seconds. Last 10 seconds. %69% of you have answered it very correctly. So let us see who are all in the leaderboard. Finally, scoring 50 out of 50 are Anurag Das, Kiran R, Mudrika Chaudhary, Shweta Tripathi, Swati Pandey, Balachandran, Falguni Dulgaj, Rashmi Pandey, Diksha Pandey, Amanullah Ansari, Sabiha Fatima, Aditya Agrawal, Aditya Vedanta Singh, Gopika R, Gurkanwal Kaur, Maria Kavya, Kalyan Naik, Prachi Mehta, and Indira Shekhar. Congratulations to all of you who have scored 50 on 50. All right. So very quickly, if you read the statements, both are actually what? Are sitters. They are straight away from the current affair, whatever we have discussed. That is a beauty quark, also known as the B quark, is a type of particle that the Large Hadron Collider beauty experiment focuses on examining, which is true. The International Large Hadron Collider beauty collaboration observed a new kind of pentaquark and the first ever pair of tetraquark recently. That is also true. So finally, C is our correct answer. 1 second. C is our correct answer. Recently, CERN reported the discovery of 3 new exotic subatomic particles. Discuss what are quarks, provide the significance of the findings. So once again, what you will write, quarks make up protons and neutrons. Correct? Hadrons, which is basically nothing but a combination of up, down, top, bottom, charm, strange. All right. So this is what it is. Helps in understanding particle physics, helps in understanding time and space, helps in understanding theory of relativity, help in understanding, determining the complex nature of these things, as well as form a, periodic table, and understand these things better. 50% if you score in UPSC exam, you will be in the top 10 ranks. Getting the idea? So it is not needed that you need to write essay after essay. 150 words means you have 1.5 page. 2 pages will be given to you. So within that 1.5, you have to finish it up. This much of data is more than enough. Beyond this, you need not go into, you can even talk about LHC here, Large Hadron Collider, beauty, that you can mention, 27 kilometer you can mention, that and all you can mention. But beyond that, it is not needed. Clear, people? So with that, we come to an end of our session. Now, let us take up the questions here. Exotic, Shubham, exotic means something which is very rare, not easy to find, not easy to get. Okay, LHC, Large Hadron Collider, means it's basically nothing but a big tunnel, okay? 27 kilometer in radius, where you have a very big tube, which is basically called the accelerator. Particles are accelerated in it. Clear? That is what it is. What if we don't know full forms of certain organizations? Why didn't you take my name? I got 50. Kunal. See, Kunal, the point is, it will only take the initial people who have answered it immediately. The system will take the names of only those people who answered it immediately. I agree. There are so many of you who have answered it correctly, but then there is a limit to which, because you are around 1,000 students are there, and we cannot have all the people's name there. So the initial top 20 who answered it immediately, their names will come there first. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sony. Increase Indian currency, only export and import. See, export and import of gold is not the thing. Basically, we have to increase the export of all our goods. When we increase the export of all our goods, that will actually help in what? In earning foreign currency. Basically, that is what somebody buys Indian rupee, let us say somebody bought Indian mango. Okay. Now, he is paying it to me in dollar. I am giving the mango to him. So now I got his foreign currency with me. When I keep getting more and more foreign currencies from everywhere, what is happening? My rupee value is building up because he is ready to give off his foreign currency to buy the Indian product. This is almost like, let me tell you, you are ready to let go of Indian currency to pay for what? To pay for a foreign Good. Let us say a foreign car, Ferrari or Porsche. You're ready to buy that. But what is happening there? When you're ready to buy the car, it is not just the car that you're buying. Instead, it is also the currency that you're buying there. Along with the good, you're buying the currency because you have to change your rupee to euro, or you have to change your rupee to dollar. Either one which you do, what happens? The currency value of the other country, from wherever you buy the good from, that value will shoot up. So if our country has to become a $5 trillion economy, what is the best strategy? We should actually focus more on our exports. That is the strategy. Amol, is it practically possible to go in past? It is being said. Apparently, Einstein made such a prediction that if you actually we achieve that ability, we'll be able to do it. But what is the problem, that high level of speed when we start traveling, our body, the human body will not be able to withstand the pressure of the wind. Human body will not be able to withstand the pressure. 140 kilometer per hour wind only we are not able to handle. Means imagine if you are traveling at what is it, the speed of light. Imagine what will be the situation. Getting the idea? So that is what it is. All right, people. Why none of the question is referred to, sir? Kapil, tell me what was your question. Tell me, Kapil. See, it is not about the percentage, Anjali. It is about that you intimate the government in case you receive more than 10 lakhs. That is what you have to do. You have to intimate the government. And again, what it is. So if it is a humongous amount of capital that is coming in, then obviously you will have to pay a capital gains tax then. That much amount of money you are getting means. So obviously you will have to tell what is the source, from where it is coming. All that you will have to explain, whether it is somebody send you that much money, again for what purpose it is, how did that person, who is that person who sent you that much money, all that legalities are there. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Illa, this is basically, who is this? 1 second, who is this? Vishnu, yes, you can mention that. That is correct. This thing, correct stance it is. Anchal, topic 5, what all we need to study? What do you mean by quark? What are the different types of quark? What do you mean by hadrons? What do you mean by LHC? Where is it located? Enough. What was the recent discovery? What do you mean by matter? What do you mean by antimatter? Definitions more than enough. Beyond that, don't go. Clear, people? Didn't anyone take strict measures to control custodial deaths? Like I told you, conviction rates are very less, so it is very difficult. Can we predict derecho storm before it starts taking place? Yes, when sudden drop in pressure happens, low pressure region starts developing very suddenly, you get to know, okay, there is a chance that in these regions, there will be, what is it, a derecho event. Because that low pressure region, again, it is not small. It will be something like very large. In one elongated shape, if it is there, then obviously when derecho starts, it will keep moving in this direction also. Fatima, what is the name of sir? My name is Nikhil Ram. What is the need of this topic 5 in real life? Shubham. Actually, to be very frank, it is a question, because when we are all dealing with nuclear physics, why should we worry about quantum physics? What, like every theory, once you know at the bottom level how things are, you will understand how things are behaving at a complex level. So at a macro level, why we are the way we are, why is it that we are being pulled down by gravity, why are we not growing up, all that, etc. If we really need to understand, quantum physics is the key. Yeah, I know there are concerns here, but then we will try to address all your queries. We are still in this process of getting to know, how to handle the questions here. So you can clearly, whatever other queries you have, please send it. Please send it to your mentors also. Contact the mentors, and they will be able to help you out there. What is difference between judicial custody and police custody? Please refer this question to faculty. See, judicial custody actually means the judiciary is allowing under judicial this thing you are. That means any you want to if a person is under judicial custody and I want to interrogate that person, I need to take permission from the court. That is the idea. But if the court tells I am giving you under your custody, that is under police custody, that means what? For 48 hours means for 48 hours I get to interrogate. Whereas if I need to interrogate the person who is under judicial custody means I will have to take the court's permission before going and doing it. And again, court will give me a time from this much time to this much time. That's it. Beyond that, I'm not going to grant you. Anything can happen. That is Argya, that is also a valid point. It can happen there. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kapil. Gold is part of forex trade. Welcome, Sneha. Yes, it is for 1 year. 1 year it is. WWFWT, your question I read. So the point is, see, this is not actually a fallback. This is not NGOs are being a leeway. You do whatever you want. No, the conditions still remain. That is, you're not supposed to be keeping more than a bank account. The point here is that it is just that now, okay, if you have a bank account, what we are doing is you just pay a fine. We are not going to punish you by putting you under jail or something or canceling your total NGO registration. That we are not going to do. That is the idea here. If we don't have any more forex, how can we purchase it? See, forex, if you don't have, means you'll have to wait for aid, like how Sri Lanka is waiting today for Indian aid. Forex means foreign exchange reserve it is, which is basically largely it contains foreign currency. Foreign currencies it contains. So gold, when you buy, the gold that you're talking about, that is being bought by individual customer, not by the government of India. If I buy gold for my wife, then what is happening? Obviously, that gold would have come, that raw gold would have come from where? It should have come from either South Africa or it should have come from other parts of the world. But then that raw gold that comes, that gets refined and that is manufactured. I buy it. How is it going to be beneficial for the government? Getting the picture. But what is the drawback there? Dollars, much valuable dollars were paid to buy it into the country. Clear? Divya, the purpose of polling is to see to it that whether you have a basic understanding of the subject. And the polling also, if you see, the questions, generally the way it is given, it is the exact criteria under which the prelims questions are also framed. Vediyappan, thank you, Vediyappa. Thank you. That was a very kind. Could you please say in detail? So today's class went very well. Great, sir. Thank you, Urpal. Do police have a legal authority to perform third-degree torture in India? So, Lagana, no, there is no such rule or law at all. There is no such rule or law. And it is highly, illegal in our country. It is illegal. All right, people. So, with that, we come to an end of our session. Yes, I will take more class. Don't worry, Mohit. We will definitely take. See, we started a little late. I agree. There was a technical glitch. My sincere apologies once again. Don't feel bad about it. Any doubts you have, please see to it that you put it up to the mentor. Something that needs to be explained by me again, or any question is that you want to address it to me, please put it across to the mentors. If it is very relevant, they will forward it to me. So don't worry. We will get to a better, we are improving our system again and again. All right. Pretty soon we will have good interaction and we'll have all your doubts addressed. All right, people. So good night. And yes, have a wonderful night.